Can you explain to the Americans, amid this impeachment inquiry, why you interacted with so many of your son and brother's foreign business associates?
I'm not going to comment on that. I did not, and it's just a bunch of lies.
You didn't interact with many of their business associates?
I did not. There's lies.
Who has my Jell-O? Sorry, is it opposite day, or will they just blame his senility for forgetting his dinners in 2014 and 2015 at Cafe Milano, nice place, with Hunter and Burisma execs? Or how about his meeting with CFC, a Chinese energy company, or the 20-plus times Hunter put Joe on speakerphone while he was vice president with Hunter's business associates? I have an idea, though. Let's try to jog Joe's memory with a visual aid. Hunter, Devin Archer, a Burisma board member, and someone whose first name rhymes with slow. Yeah, there he is. Joining me now, Molly Hemingway, editor-in-chief of The Federalist, Fox News contributor, and Mike Davis, founder and CEO of the Article 3 Project. Mike, I mean, it kind of reminds me of what Gavin Newsom did. Molly and I were just talking during the break at that debate against Ron DeSantis, where you just deny that you ever shut California down during COVID. They just, well, no, I never did that. But how do you deny it at this point?
Well, Joe Biden must think that the photos are lying between Joe Biden and Hunter's business associates. He must think that they're lying with the testimony under oath from Tony Bobulinski and Devin Archer, the over 300 emails with Eric Sherwin, and Joe Biden's alias email account apparently are lying. And those bank statements where it shows money coming from China to Hunter and then going into Joe Biden's bank account, those are all lies according to Joe Biden. It seems to me that the person who's lying here is probably Joe Biden.
Yeah, Molly, I don't think it just doesn't even pass the straight face test at this point. And he obviously is in constant contact during that time period with his son's business associates. And the media even had to finally kind of, say, well, CNN is, there are these photos out there.
Well, it's just been amazing to watch how the lies have changed over time. So he starts out by saying, I never had anything to do with anything with the business. Then he's like, okay, well, obviously as a loving father, I was involved, but I never was like too involved. And he's like, oh, it's like a little involved, but I never took money. And then he's like, okay, well, there was money, but it wasn't that much money. And now he's back to the I was never involved in any way. It's like he's there's like a glitch in the system or something, and he's going back to where he was talking in 2016 when he first said this lie. As you point out, there are receipts, there are photos, there's videotape, there's testimony from multiple different people, and you have finally a House that's interested in looking into this Biden family business.
Mike, what do you think about this Hunter Biden testimony, though? I mean, there are some who say it's going to be a big backfire on Republicans. It's going to be behind closed doors, so they really don't want to risk what Hunter might say that might not, pan out for what the GOP has been arguing for years now about his father's relationship with his work and his overseas interests.
There is no higher duty for the House of Representatives than to figure out whether the President of the United States is compromised by tens of millions of dollars in foreign bribes and other corruption. It seems like to every Biden family member, except for the 6-year-old granddaughter who they finally acknowledged under political pressure, the House has a duty to move forward on this impeachment and get to the bottom of this.
Molly, you have a big lawsuit. The Federalist is filing, Daily Wire, against the Biden administration for censorship. Tell us about that.
Yeah, just a few hours ago, we filed a lawsuit against the State Department for their illegal and unconstitutional violation of our free speech rights, of our First Amendment rights. And we did it with the Daily Wire, with the state of Texas, with the New Civil Liberties Alliance. And what the suit shows is that the State Department was engaged in setting up, funding, marketing, promoting, and continuing to work with these private companies that are engaged in censorship of speech. They privilege left-wing media outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post. They help advertisers meet those people. And they unconstitutionally go after
purposely sought to deprive you of your civil rights.
Yes, and those media outlets that actually debunk some of the fake news that's coming from the left, whether it's the Russia collusion scam or the Kavanaugh smear or COVID hysteria. They're trying to shut them down, and we say it's enough. They should not be able to participate using our tax dollars and the power of the federal government.
By the way, we have to get to this. This came out late today. We keep talking about how Biden hits a new low in polls, Mike. These CNN numbers were shocking, even to me. In the latest poll by CNN, his approval rating dropped to 37%. So nearly 2/3 or 63% of Americans now say they disapprove of Biden. Just 35% in the latest results said they approve of the way he's helping the middle class. Percentage of Americans who say their financial situation may cause them to move out of their community rising to a disturbing level. And this is the best they have, Mike. Biden is the best they have.
Biden is a disaster to American families. That's why Democrats are making up claims that Trump's going to be fascist, even though it's the Democrats, it's Joe Biden who's been fascist with his Justice Department.
Well, and Molly, I have to say, Biden was asked about whether anyone else could beat Trump. And he said, well, can we play that soundbite? I want to play it because it's hilarious. He's asked about anyone else could beat Trump. And he said, well, about 50 other people could beat Trump. Let's listen.
Do you think there is any Democrat who could defeat Donald Trump other than you?
Probably 50 of them.
You do believe that there are?
I'm not the only one to defeat him, but I will defeat him.
It is painful to watch him in this type of situation, but it does tell us he's not dropping out. And I think that a lot of people were hoping that there would be someone who could be stronger against Trump. And what he's saying is it's not going to be that way. So it's going to be him.
Yeah, Molly and Mike, those numbers are